15 in Algebra 2, and today it is Wednesday, November 5th. Make a note of that. Wednesday, November 5th. And for our do now today, we have some problems to review from earlier this week. Now, if you got one of the copies where this number was cut off a little bit and I hadn't written it in for you, the expressions are being given these values for x and y. X is 3, y is -5. That got cut off on some of the copies. So, for number 1 and 2, we're going to be using both of those x and y values. So I'm going to go ahead and color code those. I'm going to make my x pink and my y blue. So x is 3, y is -5. And I'm just going to highlight all my x's and my y's in both of these problems. Jocelyn, we just started going over this due now. There's copies on that table. So for my first problem, I have an x right here. I don't have any more x's. And I have a y right here. So I see my x and my y. I know what those values are. What should I do to sort of begin this problem?
Rewrite the equation, but 2 times 3 for your x.
Yes, we want to now rewrite the problem, but we're going to replace the x with 3. So we have 2 times 3. Where is my black pen? There it is. 2 times, instead of x, we'll use 3. And what will I write next?
The plus sign and then the absolute value bar.
Plus sign, absolute value bar.
4 times -5 for y.
Good. 4 times, and we'll plug in -5 for y.
-3.
-3.
Absolute value bar.
Absolute value bars. So now I've got everything plugged in. Okay, so step 1, I've replaced my values, or I replaced my variables with values. Now that that's done, what should I be focused on next? The 2 and the 3? I could do that. I absolutely could focus on the 2 and the 3. Now, technically, if I'm looking at my steps that I gave you in guided notes, if you're trying to do it in an organized way and go the same route the whole time that you do these, step 1 was to substitute the values. We did that. Step 2 is to simplify the absolute values. So look at everything inside the bars. Now, because this is multiplication and it's outside of the bars, technically we could go ahead and do that. But it is good practice to focus on what's in the bars first. But doing this wouldn't be wrong. So let's do that. How about we do that 2 times 3? What does that give us?
6.
That gives us 6. I'll bring that down. Now, what's going on inside my bars that I should do?
Multiply all 3.
Multiply all 3.
4 to -5 and then -3.
So we have 4 times -5, but that -3.
4 times -5 is 20.
Yes, so we'll start there. 4 times -5 is -20. Now that -3, it's easy to think that maybe we're going to multiply all 3 of those. We would if there were parentheses around my -3 also, but because it's separate, it's actually subtraction. Does that make sense? Okay, so we have 4 times -5. We said that gives us -20. Bring down -3. What else comes down?
your absolute value bars.
Absolute value bars. What else?
Plus sign.
My plus sign. So, step 2 said to simplify the absolute values. Have I simplified my absolute value yet? No. What do I need to do?
Simplify your absolute value.
Yes. So, how do I do that? How do I do that?
You talking about as far as the calculator or just in general?
Yeah, just what are you gonna do? Like, what is inside that needs to be simplified?
The negative 20 minus 3.
Negative 20 minus 3? Okay, so what is negative 20 minus 3? Negative 23. Good. So I'm going to bring down negative 23. What else comes down? 6 plus. What else?
The absolute value bars.
Good. Also my absolute value bars. So now I have 6 plus the absolute value of negative 23. What do I do next?
And your absolute value of negative 23.
Yes, absolute value. Perfect. The absolute value of negative 23 is positive 23. So I can bring that down. 6 plus 23. And what's my answer?
29.
29. Good. That is number 1. How do we do on that one?
I got lost in the sauce, but
Yeah, I
because
completely messed that
this
one.
was Monday.
I'm still trying.
Huh? Yeah, we learned about this on Monday, so we didn't practice this much yesterday. We're peeking back at it
Still-
today.
Okay. Negative 23. If it's a negative, are you always gonna flip it to a positive?
Yes, yes.
Every single time?
Every single time.
Will it ever be a positive?
Will it ever be a positive inside the bars?
Yeah.
Yes. And if it's a positive, it's still positive.
Skip that.
It's still positive, yes. Because if we remember absolute value, I'll show you back on this note from Monday. Absolute value is just the distance away from 0. So how far away from 0 is it? Well, whatever number that is, whether it's positive or negative, we measure distance with positive units. So the absolute value of positive 4 is positive 4. The absolute value of negative 4 is still positive 4. The only way that we would get a negative answer is if we saw something like this, where it's like, okay, the absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4, but now there's a negative outside of it, so it makes it negative. Does that clarify a little bit?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's look then at number 2. Same thing, I've got my x is 3, my y is negative 5. I'm going to highlight those. I use blue for y, for x. And what should I do here?
Plug them in.
Plug them in. So what am I writing?
Negative 5.
Okay, negative 5.
Absolute value bars.
Absolute value bar is good.
Plus 4.
Plus 4.
Absolute value bar.
Absolute value bar.
3 in parentheses. Or no, do we do it in parentheses or no?
You can put it in parentheses. You don't have to.
And then minus 7.
Minus 7. Okay.
Yes, if you're using the same color.
Okay.
After that, I don't know.
So let's see. The step 1 said to substitute the value for the variable. We did that. Step 2 is to simplify the absolute values. So let's look just from left to right. Can I simplify this?
Yeah, positive 5.
Yeah, the absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5. So we got rid of our bars.
Plus 4.
Plus 4. Now, can we simplify these absolute value bars?
It'd be 4.
3 minus 7.
Negative.
Yeah, that
4.
gives us -4 and then absolute value of that. Perfect. I'm going to write the steps down just so that we know what's happening. I'll bring down my absolute value bars because 3 minus 7 is -4. And then the absolute value of -4 is +4. So whenever we bring down that 4, what is going to happen with this other 4 right here next to it? Multiply. Yes, yes. When we get rid of the bars, they turn into parentheses. We have +4 times 4, right? What else comes down?
Your positive 5.
My +5. Good. Okay. Now,
9 times 4.
what'd you say?
9 times. Not 5 plus 4, which is 9, and then times it by 4.
Okay, should we do 5 plus 4 first or 4 times 4 first?
4 times 4.
That'll give us a different answer. If I do 5 plus 4 is 9 times 4, I would get an answer of 36. If I do 4 times 4 is 16 plus 5, I get 21. Those are two very different answers. So this is where we have to be careful and think about the order of operations. We got rid of our grouping symbols. This is basically multiplication. There's no exponents for E. Multiplication comes before addition and subtraction. So we need to do 4 times 4 first, which is 16. Bring down 5 plus 16. And we get 21. Yes. Hey. Any questions about number 1 or number 2? Or does anybody maybe feel brave and feel helpful to maybe share a mistake that you made whenever doing either of these problems that now you see was a mistake and you learned from it?
I do have one question though.
Yeah.
How do we know, like I know you take, like you just ended off that problem.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know we're supposed to take the 4 that's in the parentheses and multiply it by the 4 right next to it and not the 4 in the parentheses by the 5 first?
The reason that we are doing the 4 times 4 first is because at the very beginning of our problem, we have this 4 right next to the absolute value with no plus or minus in between. If there's no symbol there, it means we're multiplying.
Right.
Over here, we didn't do 6 times 23 because there was a plus sign that says we need to add it.
Right.
No plus sign, we multiply. If there is a plus or a minus sign, we do whatever that sign says. Does that answer that for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I forgot we had to plug in the y and the 5. That's where it came from.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
why I did with the X. Got to plug it in on the first one.
Gotcha.
Are those notes for Monday?
They should be, yes. Did you or did I give you this handout?
I do.
Okay.
I don't want.
So this handout is the notes that we took for these problems. And if you need it, I have my copy of it filled out. I'm happy to let you borrow it. So you can copy it down if you want. Or are you just gonna do it later?
Like to watch you do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or watch the video. of how to do
Yes, you can. I would recommend it. Okay. Anything else for these first two? Or are we ready for the next?
Ready for the next.
We ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so those were expressions. We didn't have to solve for a variable. We were given the variable, we plugged it in, we simplified. Now, I don't know what x is. We're going to find x. So we use a different set of steps. which again on that handout, when we solve an equation, step 1 is to isolate the absolute value expression. So get that absolute value by itself. Then we split into 2 equations, and then we solve the equations. So looking at number 3, we need to ask ourselves if there's anything I need to do to isolate the absolute value. No, it's already by itself. So if it's already by itself, what should I do next?
You split it and you do, probably 13.
Yes. So we're going to split this into 2 equations. Everything in the bar stays the same. The 13 is what changes. So I'm going to write 2x minus 3 equals 13 for my first equation. And then for my second, 2x minus 3 equals negative 13. Okay. Change the answer, keep the part the same. And what should we do now? Add 3. Bring down 2x equals 16. Good.
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2.
X equals 8.
And x equals 8. Perfect. I need to quit drawing lines for you guys because I'm making myself run out of room. Okay, so we got our first one. X equals 8. So now let's solve the next one. Again, add 3 again. Same first step. Add 3. And I'll bring down 2x equals what?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. Good.
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2.
X equals negative 5.
X equals negative 5. Perfect. Okay, how do I graph this?
Start off with the -5.
First, we'll put a tick mark and a dot for negative 5.
Then +8.
And then positive 8 goes next. Smaller number comes first. Perfect. How do we do on that one? Good.
Great once we was doing it together
Yay!
because I had a brain fart moment.
What was your brain for?
You know how I got that habit of rushing through and skipping something?
Uh-huh.
It was one of those scenarios, but figured it out.
Okay, well, good. That happens. Gotta go slow. Okay. Let's look at our last one, number 4. Now I have a new equation. I've got 2 outside of the absolute value of x plus 7. And then again on the outside I have -4 equals 40. What do I need to do first?
You need to add 4 to both sides.
Yes, we need to get this 4
Right,
done. Add 4 to both sides here. Okay, what comes down?
44.
44.
And then 2. The brackets. X plus 7.
Perfect. Okay, so now I have 2 absolute value of x plus 7 equals 44.
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2. Good. 2. And that cancels my 2's over here. Does it change my x plus 7 at all?
No.
No. Bring that down. x plus 7 in absolute value bars.
22.
Perfect, equals 22.
I don't know what that was.
I'll tell you.
And then you do the two separate. It would be x plus 7
Perfect.
equals 22, and then x plus 7 equals negative 22.
Okay, so now we're gonna split. We're gonna keep x plus 7 the same on both equations. And we will be changing the 22 for one of my equations. First one will be positive 22, and then negative 22.
Not to cut you off, I know you just done that for space.
Mhm.
But, it's like, you got 22s, we shouldn't have it, like I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter which side we put the negative and positive on, once we got the two separate equations, just negative
Yeah.
and positive.
Yes, I could write the negative 22 equation on a whole nother paper if I wanted to. It don't matter where you write it. As long as you're getting those two x value answers and you're using the positive 22 and the negative 22, it doesn't matter what side you write it on or where it goes. Okay, so now I have my two equations. Let's solve them.
Minus 7.
Minus 7
X equals 15.
x equals 15.
7.
Minus 7 over here. Good.
X equals negative 29.
Perfect. X equals negative 29. There we go. Which one comes first on the number line?
Negative 29.
Negative 29. Good. And if you guys are wondering at all on these number lines, you might notice that I labeled the numbers on the bottom for number 3 and then I did it on the top for number 4. I do not care if you put it on the top or the bottom. It doesn't make a difference. I just did it differently because that's where I had room to do it. So that's our do now. Good little review there. Right, so I just wanted to make sure that we remembered all of that. Good refresher. And we are now going to take out our notebooks. We're going to take a note. Okay, we're going to take some notes because now we're going to go back and look at our graphing with coordinates. And I need to get my notebook. So let me actually pause this for a minute while I get my notebook out. All right, here is my note page. Again, we are on day 19, so these are the day 19 notes. And we're still in unit 3, graphing absolute value. That's Wednesday, November 5th. And yesterday I taught you guys the parent function that is y equals the absolute value of x. Now, I'm actually going to grab a sticky note to write this next part so that I can move it around to help me out with other parts of my my worksheet that I passed out to y'all.
Thanks for teaching me how to utilize a sticky note in like the correct way.
It was so nice. I love sticky notes.
I use them at work for just reminders and stuff,
Right.
but for notes, I was like, okay.
So nice. So we have right here y equals a absolute value x minus h absolute value plus k. Yes.
Oh, whoa. Can you imagine being an alien coming down here and somebody saying y equals ax minus h plus k?
All right.
Maybe they get it.
What does that mean? A plus k. And then I am going to give you a couple of other little things. So first of all, on a graph for absolute value, we have a special point that is a lot like the last unit that we had. We have a vertex. We have a vertex. And that vertex can be found just by looking at the equation here. That vertex is always H, comma, K. Our X value will be whatever H is. Our K value, my Y value will be whatever K is. So I'm going to write just above that this is giving us the X value and the Y value of our vertex. And then we have another sort of value to think about, and that is something called slope. Slope is defined by the letter A. Now, I'm just having us make a note of slope. We may not look too much at slope today. We're going to start by focusing mostly on vertex today. So, for example here, using all of this, I'm going to pull this to the side. Just push it over here. And there is a note. Let me pause this and grab my note page. The note I'm going to show you. So I'm actually going to, before we get into the next thing, I'm going to refer back to our notes from yesterday because I want to show you how this kind of makes sense. So yesterday I gave you all a piece of graph paper that looked like this, and then we drew a bunch of these V-shaped graphs. So the reason I did this on a sticky note so I could move it. I'm going to take this and put it beside my graph, and let's see how it relates to what we did yesterday. So I told you yesterday that y equals the absolute value of x when it's just that, there's no plus 3, that we start at 0, 0. That would be our vertex. So if my vertex is hk, if I'm looking at this equation, y equals the absolute value of x, you can see that there's no number being subtracted inside. So h must be 0. If there's no number being added on the outside, then k must be 0. And so that's why our starting point is 0, 0 here. But now, I think it might make more sense if we were to look at it with this worksheet now. Let's use fresh eyes here. Let's look at number 1. Y equals, let's compare it to the sticky note, y equals. On number 1, do I have a value for A? No, there's no number in front of my absolute value of x. So whenever there's no A, there's no number there, our slope is just 1. And that's why we go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. It's an invisible 1, so we're not worried about that yet. Now, we're at the absolute value of x. On my blue sticky note, I see after x, there's minus h. Is there anything after x in number 1? No, there's no minus anything after x. There's no plus anything after x. So what would that mean my h value is?
Negative.
My h would be, say it again?
Negative.
-4. So -4 is actually going to be my k because it's on the outside here. So
Must be 1.
Or 0.
1.
0. It's going to be 0 because if I have x minus 1, well then h is going to be 1. If I have x and then nothing else, h is 0. 0. So let's write this. H is 0. I hear the sighs. Don't be stressed.
Oh my God.
Oh.
It's a
Yeah,
little
math.
bit confusing because it's like, why did they use H and K and not just X and Y?
I think the reason they didn't use X and Y is because there's already an X and a Y. And so it may get confusing to have two X's and two Y's and not know which one goes to which. They just decided to use H and K. I always kind of wondered that too. I'm not sure why. So H is 0. Next, I'm looking inside here. X minus H, we said H is 0. Close the absolute value. Then there's plus K at the end. For number 1, after my absolute value, what's at the end?
-4.
Minus 4. So what's K?
-4.
Negative 4. So K is negative 4. So if H is 0 and K is negative 4, what would my vertex be?
0, -4.
0, negative 4. Let's write that to the side. Vertex 0, negative 4. And if this makes it a little bit less confusing, label your x-axis and your y-axis. Right here, I'm going to label my x-axis with H because H is like my x. I had a student do this last term and it really helped them, so I'm just going to show you guys too. And then my y-axis, K. That way I know H is 0, K is negative 4. So I'm looking for 0 on the H line, which is right here in the middle. And if K is negative 4, do I go up 4 or down 4?
Down.
Down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my vertex. This is exactly what we did yesterday. We just didn't think about it mathematically. We said, oh, -4, I'm going to go down 4. It's the same thing, but now we're being technical. Hello. Well, let me give you this worksheet we just started. I know my vertex is 0, -4. There it is. That's my starting point. Now, we talked about how this graph always just goes up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, right? This graph will do that because there's no number for A. So we say A is 1. So what I'm going to do also here is label A is 1. So my slope is 1. Okay. Now, what we can do for this slope is we can think of it as a fraction. Any whole number as a fraction, you just write it over 1. So 1 over 1, right? This is where we get that up 1 over 1. So rise over run, up 1 over 1. So from this -4, where do I go?
Up 1 over 1.
Up 1 space, over 1 space. So I'm going up 1 to -3, over 1 to +1. And here is my next point. And then I'll just do that again, up 1 over 1. There we go. Once I have at least 3 points in a line, we go right back to that vertex. And where do we go from here now?
Up and over 1 to your left.
Up 1 over 1 to the left this time. So up 1 over 1. I'll do it again, up 1 over 1. There we go. And now we'll just connect the dots. my ruler. Know where I put it? I would like a ruler. I really don't know where it is. So I am going to. Here is my graph.
Interesting.
Yes,
So if there was like, say, if there was like a 4, right, where the A would be,
where A is,
so you would put 4/1 and go up 4 and then over 1.
Yes, yes, that's all we would do. That's all we do different. Good question. Okay. So we've got that one graphed. Let's look at number 2. Let's find our vertex first. So first I'm going to look for an H. H is the number that we find inside the absolute value. Do I have a number for H here?
0.
I don't, so it's 0. Good. So no number, H equals 0. How about K?
2.
2. K is 2. So if H is 0, K is 2, what is my vertex?
0, 2.
0, 2. Now, do I have a number for A? 1. If there's no number, A is 1. So what would my slope be?
1 over 1.
1 over 1. Good. Up 1 over 1.
Quick question, Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
Is our slope always gonna be 1/1, or is that just how it is when there's not, when we're using A to make 1?
When there's no number for A, it will always be 1 over 1. If I have a problem where, let's say it was like y equals 3 absolute value of x plus 2. Now my A is 3. Or 3 over 1.
So it'll be up 3 over 1.
Yes, yes. That's the only thing different. You just don't go up 1 over 1. You go up 3 over 1.
So the basic gist is basically whatever A is, it'd be that number over 1.
Yes.
Got it.
Unless they give you a fraction for A. Like if it was 1/2 A, up 1 over 2.
Oh.
Yeah. So whatever number's on bottom is however. But we'll get to more examples like that. We will. We'll get used to this first. So if my vertex is 0, 2, my H and my K, where do I put that vertex?
0.
0 right here in the middle.
Yes, and then up 2.
Up 2. Good. There's my vertex. And where do I go from there?
Up 1 over 1.
Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. I've got 3 points. I'll go back to the vertex. Go the other way. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. And then we just connect our dots. Nice. So this is what we did yesterday, except for yesterday I didn't tell you about vertex and slope. We just talked about how a plus something on the outside here for your A makes your graph move up. If it was minus something, it makes that graph move down. We talked about it in more simple terms. This is the technical reason why we're doing that. So why don't we use this stuff that we know now about the vertex, about H and K, about slope, and let's look at number 3. Before I move my page down though, does anybody still need to see 1 or 2? Or are we good to move? Looks like we're ready. Okay, so looking at number 3 now, let's label our A, our H, and our K. Now, something to note is that H in the formula is right here. This minus is part of the formula. This is what can be a little bit confusing because we're used to seeing a -4 and saying, oh yeah, that's -4. But because the minus is part of the formula, we're just looking at the number, okay? So for number 3, what is my H and my K?
4, 0.
4 is H. And there's nothing being added at the end, so K is 0. Because it's like saying there's +0 at the end. What would my A be? 1. No number, so A is 1. So I know H is 4, K is 0, slope is 1. Oh, I mean A is 1. What is my vertex? 4, 0. Good. And my slope? 1. I like to do it as a fraction. I'm gonna write 1/1 just for fun. So now we're gonna start again. We're gonna look at the graph and let's find our vertex on the graph. My vertex is 4, 0. Where am I gonna go to graph this?
To the 4.
To the 4 on my H, so like my x-axis,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so this is my H or my x. This is my K or my Y. So we're gonna go to +4 right here.
Gonna stay there.
And we're just gonna stay there. My Y value is 0 or my K value, so I'm not gonna go up or down. I'm gonna stay right here. That is my vertex. And where do I go from here?
Up 1/1.
Up 1/1. Up 1/1. Same thing. We just moved our starting point. Because our vertex is 4, 0, we shifted our graph to the right. So then we go back to the vertex. Up 1/1 again, but to the left. Up 1/1. Up 1/1. And we connect the dots. Anybody still need to see this one? We ready for number 4? Okay, let's look at number 4 now. Do I have an A value? A is 1. There's no number, so A is 1. How about H?
3.
Yes, we have a 3 here. Now here's again where it gets confusing with my H. If I have a +3, but minus is part of the formula, The only way for that to be +3 inside, I'm gonna show you this, is, let's see. If I have x minus -3, remember how the two negatives make a positive? This is what causes us to get an x plus 3 inside. So because there is a minus in the formula, we need to think about this as if it were a subtraction problem. Now, I'm going to teach you a trick to make this way easier in a minute. Looks kind of confusing, but if it's +3, it's actually the opposite. It's going to be a -3 because if I were to separate it, and make it into this subtraction problem like it is in the formula, we would really be subtracting -3. Okay? So trust me for just a moment, because this is +3, we'll say h is -3. H is the opposite. So what I'm going to say the quickest or easiest way to remember that, your trick whenever you're finding your h on your graphs, is that the number inside the absolute value bars, because absolute value does funny things with our signs, we'll remember that h is always the opposite sign. So if it is -4 right here for number 3, we said h was +4. Over here, we have +3 inside, so we did the opposite and said h is -3. Okay, so h is opposite. H is opposite. Let me make a note of this. Maybe I'll just write an example on my sticky note. I'm gonna do this. H is the opposite sign. Now I'm gonna put parentheses plus and minus. So, for example, x -2, h is +2. If it was x plus 2, h would be -2. So if this helps you remember, h is the opposite. I know. Take a note of it, write it down so you don't have to memorize it. H is opposite. And the more that we do these, the more it will.
So for number 3, why wasn't it h positive?
Number 3, h is +4. Yes. Yes, h is +4 for number 3. And then for number 4, h was -3. Yeah. So while we're talking about it, looking ahead, for number 5, what would h be? +1. What would it be for number 6? +3. Yes, h is opposite.
I'm so confused.
I know, it's weird. It's really weird. That's the one part that is not super fun about the h. Weird. It's weird. Would it help if we just wrote -h in the vertex formula? So you remember to
Probably.
change the sign. If that helps, write that, okay? If that helps, write -h so that you remember to change it on your vertex. Because all of the others are the same. It's just h that's weird for whatever reason.
So you just said h on number 5 is -3.
H on number 4 here is -3 because we have +3 inside and we do the opposite.
Yeah, I just meant like you said, just an example for 5 and 6 when you was talking about the h being -3 and +3.
So for number 5, our H would be +1 because we have -1. So we just use the same number, opposite sign.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Go back to number 4 here. We said A is 1, H is -3. What's my K?
0.
K is 0. There's no number at the end, so K is 0. So all that being said, what is my vertex?
-3, 0.
-3, 0. Okay. That over here. -3, 0. What's my slope?
1.
Yeah, 1/1. Okay, so let's put the vertex on the graph.
Starting at, where -3 is to your left.
-3 to the left. Perfect. And stay there. That's my vertex. Where do I go from there?
Up
Up 1/1. Up 1/1. Good. Go back to my vertex. Up 1/1 to the left. Up 1/1. Nice, 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 nice. Okay. Connect my dots and then we're done with that one. Number 4. And let's go ahead and pause there. It is 10:22. We'll go ahead and take a break. And I'm gonna just round up to 25. I'm gonna say it's 10:25 right now. And we'll do 15 minutes. So that would be what, 10:40?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a break and we'll be back about 10:40. Whenever we come back, we will do much more practice with this. Consider this your introduction. We're gonna get real good at it when you get back.
Good.
So, pause it there. Take a break. Okay, so we are back from our break, and let's see. We got all the way down to number 5. So let's finish this off real quick. And once we finish this worksheet together, we're going to go back to this page of notes that we started, and we're going to actually write down a step-by-step guide for something to look back at for whenever we go to graph one of these and our mind goes blank. We'll have something to look at that tells us exactly what to do. So, on this worksheet, now I have number 5, and I'm going to do the same thing as before. Let's find our vertex and our slope, and then we will graph it. So, first, what is my H value for number 5? 1. Right here, H is 1. What's my K? 2.
Your vertex is 1, 2.
Yes, so my vertex is 1, 2. What about slope or my A? 1/1. There's no number there, so 1/1. So we've got a vertex, we've got a slope. Let's graph it.
I really don't like how it's H and K, but it's actually X and
I know.
Confusing me. I'm like.
If it helps you to label it differently, really, we can call this the vertex X and then the vertex Y. We can remember that the X is going to be the number that is with the X inside those bars. The Y number is the one that's on the outside, and it makes the Y move up and down. So that's why if I have +2, we're going to end up moving up 2.
No, my brain just told me to understand that.
Yeah.
The Y, I don't know why, but I got YB, Y born from Coraline, and I'm like, Y born, you're by yourself, so why? I don't know.
Why love it?
Born,
I love it.
my system brain.
Why
is just
born?
like-
Why were you born? I love that movie. Yes, so the Y value is the one that's all by itself. Why by itself? Why be Y born? You can think of it that way. And then your X is with the X. So X of your vertex is 1, the Y of your vertex is 2. If H and K confuse you, don't use them. Just know that in the future, they're going to be using H and K. This is how they teach it in higher levels if you decide to go further with your education. If this is where it stops for you, then don't worry about it.
If you're honest.
Yeah, you know. Okay, so I'm going to graph my vertex first. Where will I go to do that?
+1,
Mm-hmm.
and then up to +2.
Yes, +1 on the x-axis, up 2 on the y. There is our vertex. And we have a slope of 1, so where do I go now?
Up and over 1.
Up and over 1. Now, do up 1 over 1 again. Back down to my vertex, now what?
The same thing on the opposite side.
Same thing on the opposite side, still up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Connect our dots, there's our graph. Last problem on this page before we make our guide. So we got number 5 done, and I'll put A1. So for number 6, how can I find my vertex?
Your eight.
My
It
H?
would be 3.
Yes.
2.
H is 3, that's my X value. 2 is my Y value or my K.
Your slope is 1 over 1 again.
Slope is 1 over 1 again. There's no number for A. So my vertex will be what?
3, 2.
3, 2. And my slope is 1 over 1, like we said.
So now you go to the +3. So you go right 3
Mhm.
and 2.
Perfect. So my X is 3. I go over to 3 on the X axis, and then I go up 2 for Y. And my vertex is right here at 3, 2. I'll zoom in so we can see it a little better. Do that. There's my vertex, 3, 2. And where do I go from here?
Up 1 over.
Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Back to the vertex. Other way. Up 1 over left 1. Up 1 over left 1. And we just connect the dots and we are done. I promise it feels easier the more we do it. It'll get easier. Especially after we make this guide coming up next. Okay, so that was number 6. Right, I'll leave that up for just a moment, and once you finish copying that down, let's pull our day 19 notes back out, and we're gonna write some things, just so we have that guide we just talked about. Anybody still need to see this? Can I move it? Okay, so going back to my notes, all I really did is I wrote a title, how to graph absolute value, and then we wrote this on a sticky note. So moving that sticky note to the side, let's actually write some steps. So step 1. Let me get that note page back out that I want to use. Okay. Step 1, you're gonna identify the vertex. Oh, yes. Is it the screen one?
Oh, this, yep.
Yeah. Did you need something?
No.
Okay. Okay. So step 1, identify the vertex. Is HK. So I'm going to use some colors here. H, I'll make it red. I like to make X red. And then K will be blue. My Y's, I like to make them blue. And underneath this step, we'll write out that formula again. And we'll give ourselves a reminder that the H is opposite. So we have Y equals A absolute value X minus red H plus blue K. Zeros. Help me remember where those come from. So that's the first step. We identify the vertex of H and K. Take a little note. I'll put a star above my H and say H is opposite. For example, under here, if I have X minus 2, H would be positive 2. If I had X plus 2, what would H be? Negative 2. So keep a little example to the side to help you remember, if you find that helpful. So you've identified your vertex. We're going to plot that as a point on the graph. And step 2 is to identify your slope. Slope is A. In that formula, y equals, I'll just make my A purple. X minus A. Whatever A is, that is your slope. Want to make a note that if there is no number, A is 1, that might be a good note to make. number for A is 1. Another good note to make is that slope equals rise over run. Meaning how far up do I go from one point to the next? And then how far over do I go from one point to the next? So once we've identified our vertex, we've identified our slope, that's when we can move to step 3 and start putting it all on a graph. So graph the vertex and use slope to find more points. So vertex is the starting point. Slope tells us how much more do we move for the other points. So these are your 3 steps for graphing absolute value. I'll leave this up. Make sure everybody's got it written down and in your notes in some way that will be helpful to you. And then we'll look at that worksheet I passed out with the green equations on them. So I'm going to pause this while everybody finishes this up. Okay, so we've got our steps written out. Let's now look at that new worksheet I gave you with the green equations. And we'll start with our first problem. I have y equals 2 with the absolute value of x plus 3 outside the absolute value minus 2. So first, let's find our vertex. I'm going to look at step 1.
For H.
Good. My h is opposite. So since it's plus 3 here, h is negative 3.
And then your Y is going to be -2.
Perfect. And my
Or your
y or my k will be -2. So my vertex is -3, -2. Step 1 is done. Step 2, identify the slope. What is my slope here?
2.
My A is 2. So my slope is 2 over 1. If it's just a whole number, we can turn it into a fraction by writing 1 in the bottom. So my slope is 2 over 1. Done. Step 1 and 2 go pretty quick. Now, we're just going to graph it. So, step 3, let's graph the vertex, and then we will use the slope to find more points. So, zooming in on this, where will I go to graph my vertex? Left to the 3, down 2. Good. -3, -2. There is my vertex. Now, whenever we draw more points, this is the first time we're doing one with a slope that is not 1. So don't start going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Up 2 over 1. I like to draw arrows on my slope because that helps me remember I'm going up 2 over 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2. Now I'm on the x-axis. Over 1. There's my next point. Right there. I'll go up 2 again. Over 1. Now I have 3 in a row. Once I have 3 points, where do I go back to?
Your starting point.
My starting point, my vertex.
Two.
Yes, now I go up 2, but over 1 to the left. And I'll do that again, up 2, over 1 to the left. I did that wrong. There we go. And now we just connect the dots. Okay. Done and done.
So,
Yes.
will there be a time where, A is a negative?
Yes, that will happen sometimes. I don't believe I gave you a negative A on this worksheet, but let's pretend that this was negative. What if I had, we can graph the same thing on this graph. What if my slope was negative 2 over 1? What do you think we would do differently?
You just go down 2, then over 1.
Yeah, we would just go down 2 instead. If it's negative, we go down 2 over 1. So it wouldn't change the vertex. We would still have the same starting point. But now I'll show you what that would look like. We'll just go down 2 over 1. That would be our next point. Do it again, down 2 over 1. Then we have our 3 points. We go back up to the vertex. Same thing again, down 1, 2, over 1 to the left. Down 1, 2, over 1 to the left. So our negative slope would just flip my graph so that it faces the bottom now, faces my negatives. Works. Yeah. So if there was a negative 2 in the front, that's what that would look like. We just go down instead. What if? I know it's not part of the problem. Let's look at number 2. Number 2, now I have the absolute value of x minus 1, and then outside of that I have plus 3.
Is gonna be positive 1.
Yes, h will be positive 1. Remember, h is opposite.
And your K is gonna be 3.
My k is going to be 3.
And then you gotta find your slope.
My slope, there's no number, so my slope is 1 over 1. Good. Okay, so my vertex is 1, 3. My slope is 1 over 1. Let's graph it. For my vertex of 1, 3, where do I go?
Start off at 0, but you go up to positive 1.
Up to positive 1 on the
Yeah.
y-axis.
Yeah, and then over 3.
Okay, you are almost right.
Start on positive 3 on the h-axis and then go up to 1 on the blue.
You gotta walk
Yeah.
before you can stand.
Yeah, so remember, whenever we're doing our vertex, I like that analogy, your x value comes first. And remember, x goes left to right. And like Emily just said, this is a good way to think of it. You gotta walk, move forward and backwards before you, or I guess it would be crawl. You gotta crawl forwards and backwards before you can stand up and go up and down. So we wanna go left to right for your vertex, for your x value, and then we do the y. I know it can be confusing because for slope we do the opposite. We go up and then over.
Yeah, that's what had me do that.
Yes, I totally get that. So slope is backwards. My vertex, we're thinking about what point would line up with 1 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis. So we'll want to make sure that we're lining up with the proper axes there. So my vertex will go over 1 up 3 right here. There's my vertex.
And this one would just go, up and over 1.
Yes.
Slope is 1 over 1.
Slope is 1 over 1, so we go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Back to vertex, other direction, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Okay. Here is my graph. I just connect the dots. And we've got it. Go. So in total today, we've now done 6, 7, 8. We've done 8, 9 graphs if you count this what if example where we did a negative slope. We've done a bunch of them together. I want you guys to try a few on your own. Okay. So numbers 3 through 6 on this worksheet. I want y'all to try this by yourselves. Okay. I'll set a nice little timer for us. Give us a little bit of time. Please help each other. Ask each other questions. Ask me questions. If you are confused, you're unsure, my table over here is always open for students that want to talk one-on-one about it. Try to do the rest of this worksheet by yourself. See if you can do it. I think you can. So I'm going to pause the recording, set a timer. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. If we end up needing more time, I can give you more. I think we can do it. 10 minutes, try the rest. All right, so we've had 10 minutes and you guys are supposed to do these on your own. So let's look at each of these and I'm going to have you guys tell me how you did them. So for number 3, who feels confident? Who wants to do this one? Brandon, go ahead.
Alright, so for this one, the vertex would be, instead of -3, it'd be +3.
Good.
And then also it'd be 1.
Perfect. So 3, 1 is the vertex.
And then your slope would be 1 over 2.
Good. My slope is 1 over 2. Perfect. Okay, so graphing that, tell me where you go to for your vertex.
Go to your x-axis and go to 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then go up 1 on the y-axis.
Perfect. Over 3 up 1. There's my vertex. And how do I graph a slope of 1/2?
Basically, it would be you'd rise over 1 and then go over 2.
Good. So you're just going to go up 1 over 2 this time. So up 1 over 1, 2. A little bit different of a shape here. I go up 1. I really can't go over 2 again. I would go off my graph. So we're just going to have 2 points on this side. Go back to this vertex. Same thing, other direction. Up 1 over 1, 2. Up 1 over 1, 2. We can do as many points as we want. I'm going to do one more just so that we have 5 total. Up 1 over 1, 2. And there we go. We will connect our dots. And that is perfect. Thank you, Brandon. How did we do on this one? I haven't given you a fraction slope yet.
That's what threw me off, because I was thinking it was like 25 or
Right.
whatever.
Did you get it?
No, I mean, I did now, then we went over.
Okay. As long as you got it now. Good. There we go. Okay, that is number 3. Who's got number 4?
I will tell you, the vertex is -2, -4.
Yes, -2, -4 is my vertex.
Your slope's gonna be 1 over 1.
Good. Slope is 1 over 1. So where do I go from here?
You would mark your vertex, so you go left 2
Mm-hmm.
and up 4.
Left 2. I made a mistake. I wrote +4. That probably threw you off.
It did.
That's my bad. It's -4. You told me that right, Charles. That was my fault, not yours. So -2.
She did the same thing.
So -2, -4. I'm going left 2 and then
Down 4.
down 4. Good. So my vertex is all the way down here.
And now you just go up 1 over 1.
Perfect. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. I've got 3 points. I'll go back down to vertex. Other way, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Nice. Connect the dots, and there you have it. Good job. How you doing that one?
Way better.
Good, good. All right. That is number 4. Who's got number 5?
Anybody?
I can take it.
Somebody, anybody, you gonna do it?
Number 5?
Yeah. Here, I'll let someone else do it. Emily, you got it? Let's do it. What's number 5?
The vertex is 1, -3.
Okay, so -3 is correct.
Oh, wait. -3 and then
It'd be
0.
It'd be 0. Ooh, so this is going back to whenever there's no H or no K, those are 0. The only one that is 1 when there isn't a number is our A, our slope.
Silly girl.
That's all right. So I'm going to write here, no H. So H is 0. And then K is -3. So that's how we got our vertex. And then, what's our slope?
3 over 1.
3 over 1. Good. Did anybody else put 1 -3 for the vertex?
I'm sorry.
I was thinking it.
You were thinking it?
That's me.
Wow, that's all right. That's all right. Okay, so now what do? Graph it. Where does the vertex go?
-3. Just do it.
We're just going to go down to -3 on the y-axis.
Do 3 over 1.
Up 3 over 1. Good. So I go up 1, 2, 3. Now I'm on the x-axis over 1. And we'll do it again. Up 1, 2, 3 over 1. There's our right side. Back to the vertex. We'll do the same thing. Up 1, 2, 3 over 1 to the left. And again, up 1, 2, 3 over 1 to the left. And we get a skinny V. The steeper the slope, the skinnier that V shape is going to look. There we go. Okay, that was number 5. Do we have any questions about that one? Okay, who's got 6? Last one. Brandon, you do this one again. Tell me 6.
So for this one, your vertex would be 4 and 0. because
Yes.
There is no K.
Okay, so H is +4 because we did the opposite. K is 0. So our vertex is 4, 0.
And slope would be 1 over 1.
Slope is 1 over 1. Okay, so going to our graph, where's my vertex?
Vertex would be on 4, basically just on the 4 on the
Perfect.
x-axis.
Perfect.
For the slope, you just go up 1 over 1 on both sides.
Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, back to the vertex, other way, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And we connect our points. There's our graph. Is it starting to feel easier?
Yes.
Good. 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 Okay, so that was our worksheet. Do we have any questions, or are there any mistakes that any of you might notice you're making over and over that might help to point those mistakes out?
Second guessing myself.
Second guessing yourself. We like to do that.
-4.
Uh-huh. Remembering that your X value vertex is the opposite. That's a tricky one. That is tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is it today. I have given all of you your exit ticket. It should be on your table already. It looks like this, your day 19 exit ticket. You will graph the absolute value equations below. I actually only gave you one of them. Label your vertex and your slope. I gave you a spot for that. When you finish, you are free to go.